Welcome to the Get Real Podcast, your high-octane boost of full-on reality therapy for personal, business, and investing success with your host, Ron Phillips, because somebody's got to tell it like it is.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Get Real Podcast. Ron Phillips here. I've got another news story today. This one should get everybody super excited. Should be super excited. The National Association of Realtors predicts double-digit growth in home sales in 2026 with prices rising 4%. Now, that headline is awesome. It really is. I think it's probably a mixed bag for a lot of people, right? Because if the prices rise 4%, less people are going to be able to afford them. But if sales rise, that's a good thing, right? I think that's a good thing for most everybody. The U.S. housing market will finally turn the corner in 2026 with a double-digit increase in home sales, supporting 4% increase in home prices. Now, Lawrence Yun is the chief economist of the National Association of Realtors. He says next year is really the year when we'll see a measurable increase in sales. Home prices nationwide are in no danger of declining. I got news for him. Home prices in many markets already have declined. So I'm not sure exactly what he's talking about. National numbers, he may be right. Maybe that's true. But in many markets, the prices have gone down. Not ridiculous. I never called for an insane price drop. I still don't think there's going to be an insane price drop. But certainly a flattening could happen. We'll see. This guy says we're going to grow 4% next year. So Yun believes that job growth will remain solid in 2026. I second that. With the economy adding 1.3 million jobs, that trend, along with ongoing shortages of available housing supply, will support 4% growth in home prices next year, he predicts. I agree with some of that. We do have a shortage. I don't care what anybody says. We have a shortage of homes. People are doubling up. Adults are doubling and tripling up to live in homes. That is a problem. The economy creating 1.3 million jobs will be great, depending on how much those jobs pay, right? If they're all lower income jobs, then it won't make any dent in the housing market whatsoever. My assumption is, however, that there'll be some manufacturing jobs there. There'll be some high paying jobs in that group. I doubt there's going to be a ton coming from the government based on what I've heard from, just based on the fact that we had Doge at the beginning of the administration. We'll see. The optimistic forecast follows 3 straight years of the lowest volume of home sales since 1995. I was in Berlin, Germany in the military. The last time we had 3 straight years of volume this low. That's a long time ago, people. I can tell you that. The typical age of first-time home buyers rose to an all-time high of 40. 40. That is not good, people. That is not good. Clear signal that home ownership remains out of reach for many young families. Yeah, that is a staggering number. I knew it was in the 30s already, but I didn't know it was 40. That's crazy. 1 year ago, Yun said he hoped that the worst of the housing downturn was over and predicted that existing home sales would rise 9% in 2025. With new home sales jumping 11% in 2025. Now, I told you at the onset that this article should really make people excited. What I left out was that the same dude that's predicting a 4% gain next year and double-digit gain in sales predicted that this year right now, the one that we're in, home sales would rise 9%. And then new homes, 11%. Those forecasts did not come to fruition, with the economists now estimating that Existing home sales will remain flat at 0% growth through 2025, and new home sales will fall 2% from last year. I've said several times on this show over the years, and it's been a lot of years, guys. I've been doing this now, I think, for 6 or 7 years. I keep saying it's got to be one of the greatest jobs on the planet to be one of these experts that gets to be wrong all the time and then just keep making predictions as if they weren't wrong. So this guy, Yun, gets to keep his job. Not only does he get to keep his job, he gets to reset at the end of the year. He gets to reset his forecast because nothing that he predicted actually came true. He says existing home sales will remain flat at 0% growth through 2025. Well, we're at the end of that doesn't take Nostradamus to figure this out, right? I mean, we're almost to the end of the year, for crying out loud. Unbelievable. However, Yun believes that 2026 will be the year that sales finally rebound from multi-decade lows, supported by solid job market and slight easing of mortgage rates. Mortgage applications have been consistently up above last year, implying that people's desire to enter the market has been consistently positive. Now, I do not know about you guys, but when someone is pretty consistently wrong, it would stand to reason we should not listen to them. But there's been two types of people I have hammered on, the people who, since like 2017, 2018, have been predicting the crash of real estate and all of the money that many thousands of people who listen to these people have lost over time. But the people that I haven't hammered on so much are people like this. I am an optimist when it comes to the real estate market. I believe there's really not much data that says that the real estate market is going to collapse worse than 2008 or anything like unto it. I don't see that happening. That said, we have a really, really big problem with affordability. We do. There's no way someone can say we don't. We do. It's not a mortgage rate problem. The mortgage rates aren't high. I think it's comical that this guy is saying that house prices are going to go up next year because the rates are going to drop. I don't think they're going to drop that much. I just don't think it's going to happen. Maybe it will, but if it does, all it's going to do is put more pressure on prices going up. Anyway, for months, the Mortgage Bankers Association's data survey has shown that mortgage applications to buy a home have trended well above last year's level, although so far that trend has not translated to a notable increase in sales. Shocker. People can't afford the homes. It doesn't make any difference. Most of these have got to be refinances if they're mortgage applications, because home sales aren't going up. Builders are giving insane discounts to move their properties. And we haven't seen a huge spike yet in new home sales either. That's because a shrinking share of mortgage applications are actually translating into closings. Maybe people are going out and they want to buy a house, but they're realizing they can't afford the house they want, and so they're not doing it. Just 55% of mortgage applications through banks actually closed. That's a staggering number, just so you're aware. I mean, literally only half of the people who apply for a mortgage are closing on a mortgage. Okay, Yun expects mortgage rates to be better. As we go into next year, the mortgage rate will be a little bit better. It's not going to be a big decline, but it will be a modest decline that will improve affordability. Not much. Now, it doesn't take much of a rate drop to affect prices so that people can afford them. But I think it's going to take a little bit longer to affect the buyer sentiment. I think there is a real negative sentiment right now out there, which is why the age for first-time homebuyers is 40, which is just unbelievable. Mortgage rates today are 6.25. I've said this again on the show before. That's not a high mortgage rate. It is not. 6.24 back in 2005. Well, I just went over this like not too many weeks ago. The interest rates were in the sixes before the crash. So until the government artificially made the mortgage rates very, very, very inexpensive for many, many years, got us all thinking that's the way that things are, 6.25 would have been an actually a really attractive interest rate. Despite his forecast for a 2026 rebound, Young acknowledges that the housing market remains deeply uneven. Well, at least he gets one thing right. With cash buyers and baby boomers who have a substantial equity holding the advantage. There's no question. Sales in the $750 to $1 million price range have seen the largest gains in 2025, while inventory remains constrained at lower prices. Look, the upper end of the market is doing fine because those people can afford to buy a home and they're not mortgage dependent. But the first-time buyers face steep obstacles to saving up for a down payment, including high rent, which is only, by the way, only going to get higher because there's a lack of inventory. Yeah. Student loan debt, which is a travesty, which we've not really touched on this show, but it is an absolute travesty. Student loan debt cannot be eliminated. It is massive. Should have never happened like the way that it's happening. It's so unfortunate for our kids and grandkids. And then childcare costs. So we have haves and we have have-nots. First-time homebuyers are really struggling to get in, while those who have housing equity, they're building equity. They just continue to build equity. And that chasm is going to continue to grow, is my prediction. A recent survey from an NAR showed that first-time homebuyers accounted for just 21% of homebuyers in 2025. Meanwhile, cash buyers accounted for 26% of all sales, which is an all-time high. A whopping 30% of repeat buyers paid cash and did not finance their homes. Huh. Why? Because they have a ton of equity. They don't need to. Many of these buyers likely using substantial equity from the sale of their prior home to pay for their new home. Shocker. So I guess what I'll say is that predictions of what's going to happen to the market are worth not a whole lot. And it doesn't really matter who they come from. So what do you do? What do you do if you have been trying to figure out how to time the market? You've been trying to figure out how to get into the game and actually make some money. Well, let me tell you what you do. You stop trying to time the market. Stop trying to time the market by using smart rules, and you'll be fine. Does the property cash flow? I've been over this a million times. We sold houses all the way up to 2008, all the way up to the crash. They all cash flowed. People didn't lose those homes because they cash flowed. And all they have to do is just wait for the market to turn back around. It's no big deal. But people who wait and try to play the game, everybody who cashed out all of their properties in 2018 and lost the last, my gosh, what is it? 7 years of, did I do my math right? 5, 7, 8 years people have lost of equity gains because they sold their properties waiting to time the market. That's so sad. I feel so bad for those people that they listened to fools who told them. And listen, one of these days, these fools will be right. And then they'll be preaching all over the place how right they were. They'll leave out the fact that they were wrong for 7 and 8 years and cost people literally millions of dollars. Same thing with Young. Same thing with this guy. State? No, it shouldn't. Might it? Yeah, unfortunately. So again, I'll just tell you guys. When's the best time to buy real estate? It was yesterday. The next best time to buy real estate is today. and every other time that you can afford it. Just buy with fundamentals that are smart, and you'll be fine long term. And you'll be better than fine, because there's no better asset class other than starting a massively successful business. There's no other asset class that can create the same type of wealth as real estate. And on that note, get out there and make something happen.
This has been the Get Real Podcast. To subscribe and for more information, including a list of all episodes, go to getrealestatesuccess.com.